Hello, and welcome to Voices in Education. I am your host, Natasha Lee. Hello, and welcome to another live. Welcome to, another live conversation. And this one is an interesting one. So, as you can see there on your screen, we're wanting to have a conversation about, comments that Stephen Francis made in the context of Shericka Jackson regarding the 100 and 200 meters. So would love to hear from you, all right, as always. So would love to hear from you. And as you enter, please, hit the like button, share, and hit the subscription button if you're new to this space. All right, so Voices in Education is a space where we can share and learn from each other. We do that in a respectful way to ensure that we're maintaining our safe community where everyone feels a sense of belonging and you feel valued. So welcome guys. Hit the like button, hit the share button, add the subscription button. I'm seeing in the chat there, KJ. Hello, Voices in Education. Hello, and Dane is saying good evening, all. Good evening to you, Dane, and thank you so much for coming over, guys. We're building. So as you enter, just remind your contacts and the persons who that they need to come on over. We're starting. Some persons do not have their post notification turned on, so you can help in terms of the visibility by just hitting the like button. So hit the like button once you're here, hit the like button, guys. And so that is definitely important. All right. So would love to hear from you. And I do have some of the comments, that, Stephen made in the context of, Shericka Jackson, and that I will definitely share with you. But again, this is a conversation, right? And so I would love to hear from you. So you can share in the chat or call the WhatsApp number that you see on screen there. I would definitely love to hear from you. Should Shericka scratch the 100 meters for the 200 meters record? Or, what are your views on what Francis said? And again, we're going to get to that very soon, but just giving the live the opportunity to build up. So right now we're going to go back to some music and just give you the chance to share, guys. So just share and like as you come on over, just hit the like button. This is definitely going to be an interesting conversation, and I'm looking forward, to your comments and your calls for sure, because, I definitely want to hear from each other. And again, I am going to share those comments with you, but just giving the live an opportunity to build up some more. All right. So as you come, hit the like button, hit the share button, hit the subscription button if you have not yet subscribed, and just comment in the chat. Let me know where you're tuned in from. Let me know that you're here. Roll call, roll call. All right. So again, we are zooming in on Stephen Francis comments about, Shericka Jackson in the context of the 100 meters and the 200 meters record, based on what happened, this track season. And so as we know by now, Shericka was going for that, about 35-year-old record, and it didn't, happen. And so we see here in the media, Stephen, making some comments, and we just want to, talk about those comments in the context of what do you believe should happen, or in the context of interpreting what Stephen Francis said. So right now, again, we're going to go to some music and give you the opportunity to share this live, guys. We need some double digits over here, and, let us have this conversation. So please stay tuned. Hello, hello, and welcome, welcome. If you're just tuning in, welcome to this live conversation. And yes, would love to hear from you. And as you come over, just hit that like button. All right, guys, close the chat, close the X, and touch that thumbs up button. So let me just share some context here with you in the context of what we want to talk about this evening. So Stephen Francis, had, I guess, some interview with the Jamaica Observer, right? And pretty much I'm just going to read right now some, parts from the Jamaica Observer. And Francis told the Jamaica Observer that the track in Eugene is well known to produce fast times, and he was shocked. She, as in Shericka, was unable to break the world record there. Francis says he did not think Jackson's participation in the 100 meters would have affected her run in the 200 meters the following day. So Stephen Francis is pretty much talking about the Diamond League final there in Eugene. So on the first day, Shericka ran the 100 meters and she won that race with a time of 10.70. All right. So just to put that into perspective for you. And let us just continue to what, Francis is saying here. All right. Based on the history, we felt that the best opportunity would have been the meet in Eugene. All right. I didn't believe that running the 100 meters would have affected her as much as it did, but that is part of life. So we just have to try again whenever. All right. So again there, and you should be seeing on screen now some of these comments, direct quotes or comments from Stephen Francis. So you should be seeing that on screen right now. So guys, as you come, please hit the like button. All right, hit the like button so that, we can get the visibility and you can help out some community members who may not have their post notification turned on. All right, so we're here and, Stephen, made some comments and we want to just, get an understanding of the comments and also talk about, what this means in the context of Shericka. So should Shericka scratch the 100 for the 200 meters, in the context of getting that record? All right, so let's continue here. So pretty much, what is Francis is saying here, he did not believe that, the 100 meters again in the Diamond League final would have affected Shericka's 200 meters run, the following day, day 2 of the final, all right? And it continues. So Stephen continued by saying, it probably might be that we will have to seriously consider her not doubling up at these kinds of events if she's going to get a real shot at that record when she is in form. All right, so Francis is pretty much saying here, Shericka Jackson is in form, and as a result, they as a team might have to consider Shericka, doubling. And what is perhaps not too clear in this context is when Stephen Francis mentions doubling up at these kinds of events. So that is the part that is not too clear. Events, meaning Diamond League competition, or events, meaning, World Athletics, championships, the Olympic Games. So again, we're not too clear here, what Francis is referring to when he's stating about, these kinds of events. So This is really a bit, for me, a bit ambiguous, and that is why we're here to have this conversation and, would love to hear from you. So this is a bit unclear. So is it that Francis is referring to the Diamond League? But when we think about doubling, Shericka would double at the trials, right? Shericka, if she's going to double, in terms of where she'll have to double at the trials if she wants to run, 100 and 200 for next season at the Olympic Games, right? And then the Olympic Games, if we're looking at the circuit, then, well, she does not have to, be doubling. And so again, we're not too sure, what Stephen is pretty much saying about, these kinds of events. So that one is open and, would love to hear from you. So what Francis is pretty much saying here, so Francis shared that the wind conditions have not been kind to Jackson throughout the season in her attempts to break the world 200-meter record. And there is a possibility that next season she might compete at different parts of the globe where the tracks and wind would be perfect for her to accomplish this feat. All right, so let me just transition to the next slide here. And so here, Francis is saying, I think once she is in form, she should be able to, but there has to be much help for her in terms of wind assistance and so on. We probably might have to go to Mexico or Kenya or one of those places, and who knows, but it is a bit too early to say right now, all right? And again, Jackson was also, Jackson won, the silver medal there in Budapest in the 100 meters. And her fastest, time in the event is 10:65, and that's a sheer world lead. All right, 10:65. Sha'Carri as that, time as well this year. And what Francis says Jackson could have done better throughout the season if not for a number of mistakes she had made during the campaign. And this is his direct quote, and you should be seeing that on screen now. Nobody is ever perfect, but it was not disappointing for the most part. There are times when you felt that she made some mistakes, but overall, it was okay. All right, guys. So again, welcome. If you're just tuning in, I just wanted to provide you with some context into what we're talking about this evening. Barrington Brown, welcome, Barrington. So I'm just going back to my slide here where you can see the WhatsApp number. So you can call that WhatsApp number that you see on screen. The line is open and I would love to hear from you, all right? So again, the WhatsApp number is on screen and I would love to hear from you. The line is open, so don't be afraid to call, all right? Let's see who is going to call. And guys, remember to hit the like button. Hit the like button, guys. Hit the like button and also share and hit that subscription button as well. All right. Again, we would love to hear from you in this context. Should Shericka scratch the 100 meters for the 200 meters record? Do you agree with the coach? Would love to hear from you guys. You're not liking this live. Please hit the like button, close the chat briefly, and, hit that like button. So I am checking here. Who is going to call in? Let us get this conversation going. So again, the line is open. Barrington Brown, Dane Brown. Is there any connection there? I'm just checking in the chat. So again, guys, the line is open. Don't be afraid to call. This is a safe space. where, you know, we share and learn from each other. So would love to hear from someone in the context of, you know, Shericka and Dublin, or do you believe that Stephen was making reference to perhaps the Diamond League events and not necessarily the Olympic Games? And what if, you know, Stephen was indeed referring to the big stage? So like the Olympic Games coming up, should Shericka not double? You know, would love to hear from you. So again, guys, the line is open and do not be afraid to call. Do not be afraid to call. I'm just taking a sip of my tea here. So just waiting for a caller to just call us. So who is going to call us? Would love to hear from you. And remember, guys, hit the like button. No one is liking this video. Would love to hear from you. So again, you know, Stephen Francis made some comments about Shericka there. We just look at the comments. So would love to hear from you. Kerry, hello, hello, hello. How are you doing? The first call is usually, I'm not sure why the first caller takes so long to call, but it's always good after. So the first person to call. So who's going to call this evening? Would definitely love to hear from you. And Kiwi saying good there. Awesome. Happy that you're doing good. Guys, close the chat and hit the like button as well. Hit that like button. And Kiwi saying Shericka should still double. All right. So getting that, you know, comment there. And the line is open, guys. Would love to hear from you. And you're just checking in. Awesome, Kiwi. So Shericka should still double. No guarantee the world record will come. That's a good point. And perhaps she could get, you know, 2 gold medals. So I get what you're saying there. Everyone is afraid of Sha'Carri. Perhaps you need to call us, Kerry, and share if you can. But it's clear to me that, you know, Stephen, I guess, you know, he's strong too. And they are set on getting that record. So I would perhaps say Shericka is obviously running those times in training. And perhaps, as he said here, the tracks and the wind has not been favorable, or the wind perhaps more so has not been too favorable for Shericka, you know, this season. And so, you know, they're thinking about going to other places like Kenya and Mexico, you know, in order to get this record. So the record is a big deal. And remember, you know, we had the conversation and we heard Shericka. She went out very strong, you know, before that Brussels run in the context, you know, tomorrow should be a good day. So they are expecting, or we're expecting the record. And Stephen was saying, you know, we know the history with Eugene, and, you know, they were expecting the record there too. And, you know, he's mentioning that he did not believe the 100 meters would have affected her run the following day, I guess, as much as how it did. And so, you know, we're wondering here, you know, what it means now in the context of, you know, Shericka and Stephen, you know, moving forward, because Stephen is saying perhaps, you know, we should not do the double in in, certain kinds of events. So he did not, specify. And that's where, it's a bit unclear there what he means by, kinds of events. So is it just the circuit or, the trials, the Olympic Games? So would love to hear from you. So Kiwi saying, if Shericka leaves, then it's all open for Sha'Carri. When you focus on a world record, it won't come easily. Shericka should have, Shericka should have never doubled at, Eugene. Okay. But I guess perhaps he was a part of that, because in terms of the decision making for Shericka to double, because just before going, like after Brussels, she wasn't too sure that she was going to double. But, I guess after consultation with coach, they decided that, she can do the double props, it's, they're not doing rounds, and then it was 2 different days. So perhaps that contributed, as what he's saying, in terms of, contributing to perhaps them not getting the record. But the wind in Eugene wasn't favorable, right? So I'm not too sure, but obviously they have, their eyes set on this record. And Shericka came very close, with that 21-4-1 at World Athletics Budapest there. And it wasn't, the best condition there. It was hot, and, the wind again wasn't so favorable. So that's what I get from him in the context. If she's doing that, coming like what, 0.07, of a second there in terms of not getting the record, then it means that we need to go somewhere else. So that is what, Stephen Francis is saying, that let us go somewhere else like Kenya or Mexico, where the tracks are good and the wind is favorable. So we are going to see. So I am not sure, and we have to think about next season, and at what point would Shericka peak to be running fast times? Perhaps it's close to the trial. So is it a case where Shericka won't run at the national, trials double? So would love to see. More genius. Hello, welcome more. And Kiwi saying, well, I guess so. All right, guys, the line is open. I'm just going to check here to see if I'm missing any calls. I don't see that. So guys, call. We need to test it. So call. Please call and, let us check it out if it's working. All right, so that's perhaps, interesting again there. And for the Diamond League calendar, the first one is on April 20, 2024. So next season in China. So we have 2 stops in China, as far as I'm seeing here. April 20 and 27 next year. So that's when the circuit, will start up again. All right, so would love to hear from you. And the final for, the 2024, Diamond League will be in Brussels. All right, September 13 and 14. All right, so Brussels will host the final. So perhaps they're looking at the schedule, and they go to Eugene in May of next year. So the 25th, May 25, they go to Eugene. So just to give you some context there. So I am perhaps thinking that, she's perhaps going to peak later, unless Stephen is going to ensure that she peaks very early in the season where we can see the record go, and then perhaps, I don't know, but we'd love to hear from you. But it, to me, it would appear as if, okay, if we don't get the record early, then, perhaps we need to reconsider doubling. And again, you mentioned events, and it wasn't too clear, which events, Stephen is referring to, So let me just go back and give you some context here in terms of some of the statements that Stephen made. So here, one comment here, based on the history, we felt that the best opportunity would have been the meet in UG. I didn't believe that running the 100 meters would have affected her, that's Shericka, as much as it did. But that is part of life, so we just have to try again whenever. All right, so that's one of the comments there. And another comment here. It probably might be that we will have to seriously consider her not doubling up at these kinds of events if she's going to get a real shot at that record when she is in form. So I guess in form when she's at her peak. So here is where it's a bit unclear. What events, is Stephen referring to here? The Diamond League events, or it's like the Olympic Games, World Championships. So is it that, Francis is saying here, okay, you're running at your peak, or when you're in form, let's use this word here, when she's in form, that's when you're running at these events. So remember, she did 21.41 in Budapest, and she was in form at that time. So I am wondering, and I guess for me, it's kind of logical to make that connection that, she was in form in Budapest and she ran 21.41. She did not get the record. So here is where Francis is perhaps saying, okay, we need to seriously consider if we should double at these kinds of events. Again, that's just one interpretation there. And, would love to hear from you. So I guess this is the comment here that, is definitely triggering the conversation. And you can see I have that in bold. So again, Francis is saying, okay, we need to seriously consider if we should be doubling at these events, And so if we want to get that record, we just need to stick to the 200. So would love to hear from you in this context. Would definitely love to hear from you. So I'm just going to go back to the screen where you can see the number to call and give us a call. We want to hear from you. I'm just checking the phone again to see if I'm missing your call. So welcome, welcome, welcome. If you're just tuning in, this is a safe space where we can share and learn from each other. So the number is on screen. Just call me on WhatsApp. Would love to hear from you. And guys, remember to hit the like button. Hit the like button, guys. Close the chat and, hit that like button. Would definitely love to hear from you, in this context of Shericka and the record. Still not seeing a call, and I would want to believe that the phone is working. So if you're trying and not getting through to me, just let me know in the chat. Just waiting to see a response in the chat. Let me know if you're trying to reach out and not getting through. All right, we're getting a call now. Hello, caller, you're live, so it's working.
Hello, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm pretty good.
Awesome.
Thanks. Yeah, interesting topic tonight. It is really interesting, and it's something that we have been discussing, throughout the Diamond League. Whether, Shericka should have doubled in Oregon or go for the record. And, I'm going to add another dimension to that. Sometimes it's her job. She needs to get paid for her job. So, it could be a case where she's saying, all right, go for the world record. I was making mention of Oregon now. And not, not run one of the events. Let's say not run the 100 meter. And, or that you have that, capability of winning both, earning from both races, rather than earning from one, just in case the record doesn't come. And it's interesting to know that and hear from Stephen Francis, because he's a man of some wise words, I would say.
They're a little bit squeaky. They're a little bit squeaky, Rory, and I'm not sure.
Are you hearing me better?
Yeah, it sounds a bit better. Okay, go ahead.
All right. Yeah, so I'm saying that I was on the point that Stephen Francis, whenever he speaks, you just have to weigh his words heavily, because he tends to give a lot of information in a few words or a few sentences. And based on the conversation that he had, and based on how Shericka spoke to the media as well, it is obvious that Shericka is doing some awesome times in training. So that's what I get from what he's saying. And they have their sights set on the record, because both persons, the main in Shericka and Stephen, they have come forward and they have talked seriously about the record. And if correct me if I'm wrong, he said that if wind was in her favor, then she could have gotten the record this season.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you just have to give it up to Steve for working so well with Shericka, and obviously they're having thoughts of having the records broken next season.
Right. So
as it relates to Shericka doubling, I think it's double order record. I think that's the kind of dilemma that they're having right now. Steven is thinking that if she focuses on based on my understanding at least, if Shericka focuses on the 200 meters, then she can break the record. And, probably that was a strategy that he was trying to employ, in the sense that getting her to break records and get that out of the way. And then, she could just go about winning the 100 and 200 meters and continue to earn money. But, they want that star on their crown to say that, yes, our team, is holding on to the world record. And, that world record, 200 meter world record, has been around for a long time. And, they are eager for it to change that as it relates to who owns it. So they're going to keep working, I think. We keep working at this. And, I don't think that Shericka would give up the opportunity at the Olympics of, the possibility of getting two individual gold medals, with the possibility of a third one in the relays. I don't think she's going to give that up. So if the world record comes, I am think it's going to be a one-off from where Shericka is just going to be focusing on the 200 meters. So I'm, predicting that she will go for this record in the Diamond League when her season starts next year, and I guess she's preparing for the Olympic Games, or albeit after the Olympic Games. But I'm not seeing the record in the Olympic Games. So I kind of think that's the approach that he wants to take, where Shericka can claim that world record, and then go into the Olympics and just focus on winning her events, her personal, their individual events.
Okay, some good points there, Rory, and so thanks for being our first caller and sharing. So I
No
just
worries.
want to put this to you. You mentioned, your thinking it's not missing the Olympic Games. So for me, it's going to be either, I guess, two things. Stephen is going to, I guess, they're going to go back to training, and Shericka is going to peak early in the season. If it is that they're going to do the double for the Olympic Games, and we see, that she peaked pretty much. So I'm going to use Francis' word there on screen. Form. She was in form for the athletics, World Athletics Championships, right? In the summer.
Yeah.
She did 21.41. So if it is that he's going to work on that to try and get her to peak very early, similar to how I would say Shelly was peaking, I guess, early when she was doing those 10.6. I believe she started out. Guys can correct me in the chat. So is it a case where, he's going to say, all right, peak early? I just shared, I believe May is when they'll go back to Eugene, right? The 2024 Diamond League circuit, 2024, the stop is in Eugene in May. So do you believe that? And obviously, Stephen Francis, is saying here, and you can see that on screen, guys, based on the history, we felt that the best opportunity would have been the meet in Eugene. So do you believe that they're going to target Eugene again? But then again, he said, perhaps we need to go to some places where the tracks are good and the wind is favorable, like Kenya and Mexico. So do you believe then that Shericka can peak early and then still maintain that form to do, the trials and then the rounds in the Olympic Games? Or is it a case where Stephen is saying, you're going pretty much based on, previous times, your form, you're in form, when these big competitions are, ready, like your trials and Olympic Games. So that is the point where we should consider seriously not doubling. So what's your take on those two, options?
Well, I'm not sure about her peaking early, getting her to peak early. I think what will happen is that everything will be aligned and be, fixed with those two important dates, because one, it has to be in accordance to the qualifiers for the Olympic Games. So she needs to peak in that time period, and maybe that's a full ploy to have her try for the record at that point. I guess you're going to say, at that point, she will be doing the 100 meters and 200 meters, and that's what he's, having question marks about. But I think if she's going to be peaking early, it would be just before those trials, where she would choose a particular, or they would choose a particular event uh, for her to go at the record, and not necessarily at the trials, as you were alluding to. But I think she has to peak for the Olympic Games. But I my view is that they're trying to take off some of the added pressure off her. So if she claimed the world record before the Olympic Games, that's all well and good. But I think what Stephen wants her to be comfortable running at the Olympics, even if she's doubling and having enough gas to win both races and not necessarily to to get the world record. So hopefully that answers your question. So in other words, I'm saying he will want her to peak for the for the Jamaica trials and also for the Olympic Games. So I am thinking if she's going to go at the record, she's going to go just before the Jamaica trials, just before the Olympic Games.
So you're pretty much saying, but in the context of, Stephen mentioned Kenya, and guys, you can tell me if there are more, events in Kenya apart from the Kipkino classic, and I believe that was sometime in May. So again, I stand corrected on this one. So May is, I guess, and as I mentioned, the Diamond League, 2024 season or circuit begins in April, I believe. First two stops in China. So if it is that, let me just say, it's good to be, thinking about Shericka in that regard. Like, I feel good to know that the coach has this confidence in Shericka, right? I feel good in that sense. But I'm not too sure about not doubling, right? So, but I feel, confident that, they know, or the coach, has that, I feel good that the coach, Steven, has that level of confidence in Shericka. So, and it's giving us, that opportunity to be more confident in our capabilities. Obviously, she can do it. And what Steven is saying, probably we should just take a season, just focus on getting the record and allow, let it be if it is that we want it. All right, let me just go to the chat a little bit, Ruren, because I saw some comments here. And KW saying the only reason Shericka didn't break the 200 record was that she went wide in the lane around the curve. And yes, financial decisions as well, come into play. All right. Denver, welcome, Denver, welcome. Coach Francis has a noble ambition for Shericka. And Kiwi saying she has to be careful not to get injured. And Denver saying, however, I think just declaring the 100 meters, I guess, unavailable is a little misguided. Denver is also saying, remember, track is our career and the potential of losing 50% of your earnings is unheard of. Well, I'm not sure. I guess she has her contract and I don't know how that works, but obviously, perhaps she would be more marketable and perhaps earning more if she should get that, 35-year-old record. But back to you, Ruren. All right, so I guess Ruren will connect with us, once, is able to again. So guys, welcome.
Yeah,
okay, go ahead.
Yeah, you can go ahead. Yeah, so some good points there, in the chat. But I must join you on that point.
You're a little bit, you're a little bit squeaky, Ruren. I'm not sure.
Am I sounding better now?
Still have that little squeaky sound, but not too sure what's causing that.
All right. Am I sounding a bit better?
Better, but lower.
Okay. All right.
You're better. You're sounding better now.
Okay, better now. Yeah. So I must say I must join you on that point where the confidence level is high in the camp, especially as it relates to Stephen and Shericka. Both persons are coming forward and expressing great, great. What would I say now? Great confidence in breaking the record, and that speaks volume. But as I said, I think that the record is something that would mean something good for them both, and I think that they want to get that. Just put a tick beside that, and I think that was the aim for this season, to break the record and then focus on the Olympic Games. But in essence, I want to add this point as well, that he doesn't want Shericka to go to the Olympic Games and harbor any thoughts of losing that 100 meters. So Shericka is going to turn up for that 100 meters for the Olympic Games. And, I just think she wants to win that race. That's the bottom line. She wants to win that race to show the world that, yes, I might have blundered at the World Championships, but I am at the top of my game now. And she wants that 100 meters. And if she wins that 100 meters, the confidence will flow right over into the 200 meters. But again, with the rounds, we might not see any records. And that's what I'm thinking. We might not see any records, but I think she wants those double gold medal for the 100 and 200 meters in Paris for sure. So it's about balancing everything out. I think it's all about the balance. I think once she gets that world record, it's going to be her putting on her game face to ensure that she wins both races. So she's going to have Elaine Thompson here on one side and Shakira Williams on the other side, and she's going to see Richard to my bad, and she's going to try and strategize on how she can beat them both, since those are the two ladies probably closest to her right now. Not ruling out Shelly and Fraser Price either. So those four ladies, Shelly, Shakari, Shericka, and Elaine, those four ladies are going to be, battling it out for the 100-meter title. And I have to add Talu, because Talu is always there and thereabout as well. So those five ladies should take up 5 of the lanes for the 100-meter finals in Paris. If all goes well.
Well, I hear you. And I am not sure at what point, Shericka will be informed, based just using Francis' word here, for next season. But you're saying that Shericka wants to do the double, but I feel that she wants the record more. And so perhaps it may mean if they're sure, and obviously she has confidence in her coach, and the coach has confidence in her. So if they're sure that they're going to get the record and the 100, they need to put it on pause. I think they're going to do it. Well, it's not something that I want to see, but it appears as if, if this is the hurdle in our way, let us just take it out, right? But again, Francis was making reference to places like Kenya and Mexico, in terms of wind and track. I'm not sure when, those events will be for 2024 in terms of events happening in those places. So it would be good to see, what that would mean. I know that they go back to Oregon. They're Eugene on, what did I say, May? In May. Soon I'll just give you the dates there for the Diamond League stop. Again, the different stops. And so, but what Francis is saying here, that perhaps they're disappointed because they believe the best opportunity would have been in Eugene. And that Shericka ran a faster time in Brussels. All right, so let me just look in the chat here. Denver is saying I meant 50% of the circuit gate prizes, not the monies pursuant to contractual arrangements. Okay. Okay, we're saying Shericka needs the 100 meters training to break the world record. Perhaps she's still going to get the training, but just not running the 100, meters at the circuit or in these kinds of events. So not too sure, that remains a little bit unclear there. So let me just go to this next slide. So this is what Francis is also saying, just, to share with you guys as well. But before that, I see Denver saying the record is not easy to break. It's been 35 years and counting. Yep. And they believe they can do it. So we're just, I guess, waiting to see what will happen. They both, are sharing this confidence that it can happen. So this is what Stephen is also saying. I think once she's informed, she should be able to, that is to break the record. But, so there's a little caveat here, but there has not been much help for her in terms of wind assistance and so on. So Stephen is saying, I'm hearing here, naturally, once she's informed, she can break the record, right? And if we get the right conditions to, it would have been, I guess, it would have happened, right? So there has not been much help in terms of, the wind assistance, for example, all right? We probably might have to go to Mexico or Kenya or one of those places, and who knows, but it is a bit too early to say right now, because he's saying here, what I'm getting is that, yes, we might go to one of those places and perhaps it does not happen. So that's where the who knows, I believe, comes in. But at this point, he's saying it's too early to say right now. So it was just pretty much, sharing based on, the season, so there we go in terms of that. All right. So, and in the context of, I guess, disappointments or mistakes, my apologies, my screen just, switch there. He's saying nobody is ever perfect, but it was not disappointing for the most part. There are times when you felt that, Shericka, made some mistakes, but overall it was okay. So I'm looking in the chat, more genius saying like. All right, more genius, thanks for liking, guys. Remember to hit the like button. All right, Ruan, back to you.
Yeah, so a good season for Shericka, but I still stand on the ground that she has been running these times in training as it relates to the record. And I totally agree that the record isn't easy to break, and that is why they're going to give focus on it. Try to select the right venue, right place, right time, and just try to get it out of the way. Because I just think that's what they want. Just want to know that, yeah, we're the holder of the record, and she's probably not going to push herself that hard, and once she gets it. But I know for sure though that based on the level of confidence that is coming forth from these people, Stephen and Shericka, they have what it takes to break the record. They know that the energy, the skill level, everything is in place. It's just probably will not all come together yet. So as I said before, I think they're going to just target the 200-meter record. They're not going to do it, I think, in any place where they will have to go to, where she'll have to go to the rounds. So it's going to be in one of those Diamond League runs. I think that they're going to target her, one of these one-off. She's going to try and target that 100-meter record. So that's where I stand on that. And as I said before, going to the Olympics is just to get the gold medal. So in essence, I'm saying the Olympics are is going to be where she goes to claim her gold medals. But she's going to go on the circuit playing the world record.
Okay. And as you mentioned circuit there, I'll just give you the stops and the date. But before I do that, hello to you, Anne Marie. Welcome, welcome. Guys, hit the like button, hit the share button, and the subscription button as well. If you're new to this space, welcome, welcome. Voices in Education is a safe space where we can share and learn from each other. All right, we share in a safe space, where everyone, gets the opportunity to express their views, and it doesn't matter if they're different or not popular. It's okay. We do that in a respectful way so that, everyone feels, a sense of belonging and, feels valued in this space. So welcome, welcome if this is your first time here, and welcome back to all returning viewers or subscribers, welcome listeners, welcome back. Denver is saying Coach Francis has an intelligent mind, and he knows that since he wants proper wind speed, he may want to employ a meteorologist on the team, all right, to search the globe so that the wind can drive Shericka. All right, Denver. All right, so in the context of the calendar for what I'm seeing here for next season, so the Diamond League circuit, we're seeing 2 stops in China, April 20 and 27. So that's next year, 2024. Then we see Doha, May, so the 10th of May, 2024, Rabat, May 19, 2024, Eugene again, the 25th of May. So we have, May has quite a few stops here. So Eugene on the 25th, Oslo on the 30th, all right, Stockholm, June 2nd, Paris on the 7th of July, that is. And then July 12, we have Monaco, London, July 20, all right, Lausanne, the 22nd of August. And then we have Poland, the 25th of August. Rome, the 29th of August. And Zurich, September 5th. And then Brussels, September 13 and 14 for the final, the 2-day final there in Brussels. All right, so again, guys, the line is open, and we would love to hear from you. So don't be afraid to call the number that you see on screen. All right, back to you, Ryan.
Yeah, so yes, guys, call in and let us hear your views. It's always good to hear from you guys. And, just let us know how excited you are for the 2024 season. It's going to be an amazing one. And we have to bear in mind that we have a few youngsters coming through, meaning younger athletes or athletes who are just making their mark on track and field. So, we're just imagining those experienced athletes with those one blending in. And I think Jamaica will be, the Jamaica trials is going to be almost like a world championship or even an Olympics just in some regard. Because, these guys, are really talented, and the talent has been coming through. So, let us hear what you have to say as it relates to that, and also the fact that, Stephen has come out and he has spoken. And whenever he talks, he gives quite a bit of information that people would crave for. Stephen's coaching skills is unmatched, I would say. And it's good to see Stephen, giving us some clarity in terms of where they plan to go as a team. Him and Shericka, and the fact that they still want to go after this record. But all in all, I just wish that Shericka has a season to remember 2024 like she has had for 2023. And if that happens, the track and field world will be set alight.
Yeah, for sure. That would be amazing. So Denver is saying their voices. This is what I propose. Let Shericka run at the stadium in Florida where Shakari run 9.57 seconds. Okay, with an illegal speed. Okay, in the 100 meters, but only at Jackson Concentrate at that venue. All right, and Kiwi saying Stephen Francis should ask Glenn Mills for assistance in the 200 meters training. All right, so I see you there, Kiwi, for Shericka. So some good points there, and I wonder too, is it a case where is it a case where coaches would not do that because they want the credit for themselves, not looking at the bigger picture? And do you think coaches would, like, from different camps would perhaps, come together? Not saying that Stephen, because Elaine was doing well at the 200 there, and now we see Shericka doing good. So I'm not sure if he needs the help in terms of the record, but and, just looking at some of the comments that Steven made in the context of Shericka, he's saying, not that I'm so disappointed, but she made some mistakes, and perhaps he's referring to those mistakes as, they probably cost her the record, in terms of those, I guess, small mistakes, but still nonetheless, significant in terms of the time. And I can recall Kiwi saying that she, needed to run, I guess, on the inside of the lane more. So, that could be, not too sure, just, assuming here. So guys, welcome, welcome. The line is open. Would love to hear from you. So don't be afraid to call the number that you see on screen. We want to hear from you. All right. So just call us. And guys, hit the like
Yeah.
button. You're not liking, guys, hit the like button. Close the chat briefly and, hit the like button.
Well, I want to weigh in on the points that were made. You know, um, Denver was saying that that track there, he could target that track. Well, I guess that's always an option that they could explore. I'm not sure if that particular day what happened is it was very windy. I'm not sure about that. And as it relates to consult, Glenn Mills, an expert that in the field, similar to how Stephen is doing well. That's I'm not sure if that will happen. As you know, eagles tend to fly high in this in sports in on a whole. And any task that one is doing, they want to do it by themselves, so no one else could have that say that, oh, I help in that regard. But I guess that also depends on the type of relationship that they have as coaches as well, because sometimes that relationship reduce the fact of reduce that whole opportunity of collaboration. But if they were able to collaborate and share those expertise, I am thinking that that hybrid model could work in assisting the athletes as they go forward. But
I'm
on a
perhaps
whole,
I'm perhaps not going to go there because I don't know what Steven's expertise is, and I don't know what Glenn's expertise is. We just know that, he did well with Usain, and Francis does well, is doing well. So I'm not going to go there to say, 'cause perhaps, Francis has the knowledge and the skills and what, Shericka should be doing. And maybe the end is just that Shericka as the athlete not executing well, just getting all, aspects of the race together. So I don't want to put it that way. Obviously, he's capable, obviously, and so I wouldn't want to go there because I really cannot speak in terms of that he's lacking as a coach. It's hard to say that, and I won't say that either. But as you said, like, if the possibility of collaboration exists, then that is fine. But I won't say that he's lacking. I wouldn't say that in terms of expertise or question his expertise. I would not do that. I think he has done a lot, and we see that in terms of athletes. I you know I have different perspectives of Steven for sure, and but in terms of his capability as our capabilities as a coach, based on what I am seeing over the years, I have that confidence in him that he can definitely do it. So Ruren, we're not hearing you. Are you still here?
I'm still here. I'm not questioning their capabilities any at all, and that's what I came across. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, if they put heads together and come up with something, the possibility lies that the athletes could improve. That's all I was having at here.
Yeah, but what would they come up with that would be different? Because at this point we don't know what is what is happening specifically. So what would they come up with that you believe would have been different from what Stephen alone is doing? That's perhaps a question that I am asking.
All right, so I think different coaches employ different programs and so on. So that's pretty much where I am coming from with my point. So I'm saying if they could put programs together and see, okay, then they could probably come up with something that could work.
Okay. Okay. All right, guys, welcome, welcome. If you're just tuning in, welcome. We're having, a very interesting conversation here in the context of, Stephen and, the comments he made in the context of the 100 and the 200 meters related to Shericka. And so would love to hear from you. The phone line is open. And here Denver is saying, let's for argument's say that Coach Francis is right and he wants Shericka to concentrate on the 200. All right, I guess Denver will continue with that point. So we'll look out for your comments, Denver. Denver, you can call us, Denver. Why you don't give us a call? You can definitely call us. So guys, the line is open. Would definitely love to hear from you. So don't be afraid to call the number that you see on screen. All right, so Denver is saying if that model is not successful, at what point does he return Shericka to the 100 meters? That is definitely a good question. But what I would perhaps say, just trying to analyze, from analyzing his comments here, it would appear that one Shericka is in form, the form that she was in this season, right? So I guess he would make that assessment. The form as in she's poised to break the record. That's the form I believe Stephen is making reference to. Once Shericka is in that form, then the focus they're going to, I guess they should consider seriously not doubling. So it appears, it's going to be like a one season thing where if she's peaking and say, for example, she's in form for the summer, or say May going, the Jamaica trials perhaps in June, going there, and she's in form, the focus should not be on doubling. It should be on the 200, not doing that. That's my assumption. So I guess in terms of determining whether they scratch the 100 meter, for the 200 meter, Shericka's form at the time would determine that, right? So if she's in the form that Stephen wants her to be in, where she's poised to get the record, then I feel that's how they're going to scratch the 100, right? But I guess if his assessment is saying, you're not in the form right now that we want you to be to get the record, perhaps, you can double. That's just my interpretation of things, but that's a very good question there, Denver. Yes, guys, please hit the like button, close the chat briefly, and hit that like button, all right? We can do better with, giving this video a like for sure. And again, the phone line is open. Would definitely like to hear from you. We can take, a couple more calls. Just looking at the time. So would love to hear from you. So don't be afraid, call the number. Denver, are you going to give me a call? You can call the number. Guys, if you're here, comment and let us know that you're here. All right, just comment in the chat. Would definitely love to hear from you. Roll call, roll call. Who is here? So pretty much in another, few months, we'll see the track and field, season back to a start. So, we'll see what happens, as time progresses, for sure. For sure. We'll definitely see what happens, as time progresses. Ruren, do you have any? I'm just throwing it back to you here. So when you're ready, you can just come on in. So I'm just checking, guys, any new comments?
Yeah, just want to add and so agree with you on the fact that it's going to be a pretty interesting season that's going to be, we're going to have next year. We're at pretty much October now, so October, November, December. I guess where people will, take a little bit of time off and then start putting in their background work for next season. But what an exciting season that's going to be, next year. Where we talk about the 100 meters females, we're thinking about, as I said, Shakari, Shericka, Talu, and Elaine Thompson and Shelley Price. Those are going to be probably be the front runners. And we have some other exciting young athletes who are coming through. Antonio Watts with that 400 meters. As it relates to 100 meters, have Shane Thompson, who the Mr. Man coming through. And we still have guys like Civil that's there who has done well this year and just probably sharpen up his skills a little bit more. And with the experience, should be doing a little bit better. The 2024 season is shaping up pretty well, and it's exciting to see who are the persons who are going to be on top when it comes on to the various events. So that's really amazing. And when you add to those lists, when you add to that list about people like Hansel who always turns up and deliver. You have, Daniel Williams with the 110 Tucker with 100 meters hurdles. The season next year is going to be pretty awesome. And I know that a few persons who are under the radar this season or who haven't had their opportunities or who have grasped their opportunities, they're going to be eager to present on the world stage. So, I think the season coming up is going to be an amazing one. And we're just talking about Jamaican athletes, and other people from around the world come, sit down and see how best they can find ways of beating the Jamaicans and all the top athletes around the world. So it's shaping up nicely for next year, and I can't wait to see how things pan out. Um, Coming back to your topic and even just thinking about the likelihood of Shericka breaking the record for, that's also, that would be an awesome feat to break a 30 plus years record. So it's shaping up really nicely. And that record I think would put the ice on the cake for 2024. Olympics in Paris as well. That's going to be amazing. So it's a nice vibe it's going to be next year when the track and field season comes in. Hopefully the athletes are able to keep healthy, keep strong, keep fit, and as you would say, and as Steve Francis would say, stay able to get their form and ready for the right events and to execute their best performances whenever it is needed.
Yeah, for sure, for sure, for sure. We definitely want to see our athletes and all athletes, whether you're supporting Jamaicans, Americans, it's okay. All athletes, at their best. They go through a lot, and we definitely want to support them and see them, shining on those big stages for sure. Guys, welcome if you're just tuning in. We're getting pretty close to the end of this conversation, in the context of, should Shericka scratch the 100 meters for the 200 meters record? And so that is in the context of, comments that Stephen Francis, our coach, made to the Jamaica Observer. And, we shared some of those comments, and for sure, the line is open. We want to hear from you. We want to hear your voice. If this is your first time here, welcome, welcome. This is a safe space where we share and learn from each other. We understand that we share, different views, opinions, based on our experience and knowledge, and that is totally okay. We do that in a respectful way to ensure that we're maintaining our safe space where everyone feels a sense of belonging, you feel valued, and you feel comfortable sharing your voice. All right. So, welcome, welcome to Voices in Education. All right. I'm seeing Adrian Burke. Welcome, Adrian. And Adrian is saying she could go sub 10.6 next year. Then we will be talking about her breaking the world record in the 100 meters too. So that's a good point, because we see Shericka this year, and she is in the form of her life so far, and that's another interesting and great point there made in the chat room. And what are your views on that?
Oh, that's an awesome point. So I guess we could make that would make the year even more special if we could have Shericka breaking both sprint records in the 100 and in the 200 meters um, races. So that's a good point made there. I thought about it once, I didn't mention it tonight, but yeah, I totally agree that one as well. And just to see how Shericka executed that race in at the World Championships in Budapest. I'm of the view that she didn't run her best race, meaning that she didn't run right through. And when you know where the bar is in terms of the time, so everyone that is preparing for the 100 meters are going to have their mindset on 10:65. So I have to be honor about that to get the gold medal if I'm going to compete at the Olympics. So I think that's where most people are setting their bar. So if you can get ahead of that mark here, then that you're in some very very good company, I would say.
Well, I can
Elite
recall,
company with that.
yeah, I can recall like from previous conversation, Justin shared that, at the Olympic Games, it's going to take 10-5 and I believe a 10-4 run to win the gold medal. Like, so given, I guess what he saw this season. And Justin, if you're here, I know that you're going to call us soon. And I'm looking in the chat, and Denver is saying, I agree with Adrian immensely. All right. And Denver continues, if she gets the world record in the 100 or 200, what difference would it make? All right. So I guess Steven is perhaps going to say if she's going to get the record in either event, then the rounds, and she would have to focus on one event at a time. I don't know. So I'm just checking here in the chat. So guys, remember to close the chat and hit the like button, all right? Hit the like button and hit the subscription button if you're new, or if you have not yet subscribed, hit the subscription button. So Ryan, over to you. All right, so not hearing Ryan, but again, Ryan will come in once he is able to. All right. So if you're hearing me, Ren, and if you're talking, we're not
Yes,
hearing. Okay.
I'm hearing you. Are you hearing me now?
Yes, I'm hearing you now.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So Adrian started off that party. That sort of that super party where Shericka win, breaks both record, and that would be an amazing feat. But as you mentioned, as he mentioned, and a few persons before that, the 100 meter is going to be women's 100 meter at the Olympic Games is going to be a cracker of a race. That, it's that evening when that race is being run. I think everyone will be good to achieve this race. And I'm not sure what will happen through the rounds, but I think a lot of persons will make certain statements throughout the rounds because just reflecting on what happened in Budapest at the World Championships, the heats were really really strong. Like you could see two or three top runners ending up in the same heat. And when you see that, you know that the top two goes through are the fastest loser from the from the heat, especially when we get up to the semifinals. So it's going to be some hot races right out, and I think it's going to be one of the best Olympic Games ever coming up next year in Paris.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm seeing Denver is saying, I guess following up on the previous comment there, this would be as in, if she gets the world record in 100 or 200, this would be a great position to be in if your star athlete can do it in either event. And, that is definitely, that would definitely be a good position there. And, Steven perhaps believe Shericka might need some more work for the 100. I don't know, but obviously, Stephen has the confidence, that Shericka can do it for the 200, and so what he's saying, once she's back in form, she can do it. She's able to. That's his word. She's able to. And so we are looking forward to that day, because we want to have that party over here for sure. What a celebration. It would be awesome. Like I say, I want to see those records go. And, if a Jamaican do it, awesome. But I just want to see those records go. So if, for example, an American is going to get the 100, but right now in terms of the 200 meters, it's Shericka. Shericka shows up. I don't see anybody right now, passing Shericka in a race, and unless something drastically happens, but it's like Shericka has her name written all over the 200 meters, right? And so right now, she's the athlete who is most likely to break the record, right now. She's the one going, knocking, as she would say, knocking at the door. She's the one getting so close. So as Justin would say, the 200 is not interesting, but for me it is still interesting, because once I see Shericka in the race, I'm like, Shericka is running against the clock. And I know a lot of times we talk about too, she's not getting that press that she needs to go for the record. So yes, the wind, they're talking about other conditions, and I feel that that's a factor too. Somebody to press her to get off that curve, faster, right? And so that is, I feel that that's an important factor in the race as well. But we saw her in Brussels, and she ran, and it was just obviously Shericka, running against that clock. So, would love to see the record for sure, but I want to see them go. I want somebody in, this time, our time, we want somebody to get them for sure. Adrian is saying, let me add, Shericka has more competition in the 100. There are 3 to 4 other women who are capable of running fast times. So in the 200, she's running against the clock. Yeah, pretty much what I'm saying here, Adrian, so having, that competition to press her is not necessarily there. So we are wondering now, if we have Elaine Thompson being back, in the shape that we want to see her in, for sure, I guess Shericka might get some, press there, in terms of going. So perhaps Elaine would drive her to that record, right? So if Elaine Thompson should get back into the shape that, we want to see her in, I believe she might be the one to drive her to the record. I don't know, Ruhan, what are your views? All right, so let me wait on Ruhan to get back in. I'm seeing a comment here. Denver is saying most people who break the record, don't go, I guess, searching for a record. They go out to win. And if the record goes, it goes. And I guess us Jamaicans will feel very proud if Shericka wins it. For sure, Denver. And I get what you're saying.
Well,
But she's running with a purpose, Denver, because, and obviously, it's not just Shericka alone. The coach is coming out to say, we want the record. So the record is on their mind, all right? They're talking it, they're, I guess, singing it, and they want to run it right now. So run it through and run the record.
oh boy. Sure, Elaine Thompson would be good competition for Shericka Jackson. But Shericka is kind of in a little class by herself. But I'm sure Elaine could give her a little boost for sure. And if it's even that first 100 meters around the curve there, and to tell. But Shericka has been in such good form, and she's head and shoulders above everyone else in the 200 meters. And she only has one competition, which is the clock. and everybody seems to have identified that, right? So I would just love to see her hold, that form going through, meaning that good patch of form that she's in terms of her physical form, not necessarily her running. But I want her to be in this, as they would say, purple patch for the next season too, and see what happens. Because I think she has great things to achieve, and she has shown me. I don't know if you guys have seen that hunger that she has. I have seen significant differences in the way how she approaches her races ever since she ran that 100 meters race at Budapest, and or I would say she was really shocked, like Shakari.
Well, I guess we'll see some more races with Shericka and Shakari. Hopefully this season, if they don't, decide to scratch the 100. And I guess, we perhaps can put, finally say, okay, Shericka is good. She made a mistake, for sure. We can definitely say that. Let me just check in the chat here. KJ is saying, thanks Voices for giving us this space to express our views. Best place to be. You're definitely welcome. And, again, this is a safe space for us to share and learn from each other. So you're most welcome. All right. And Denver is saying, there may exist where she beats the record and she does not win the race. But yeah, she can, but it means that she won't have the record because somebody else, the person who would win the race, would get the world record and not Shericka if that happens. Yeah. So some interesting points there coming, in the chat. So if she runs, faster than the record and somebody else, ran, and was ahead of Shericka, then that person will get the record, not Shericka. But Shericka wants the record. And at this point, I do not see who is able to challenge her in this 200. I am thinking the best person who can press her and push her would be Elaine, and Elaine would have to be back in that form that we expect her and know that she can be. And as you perhaps would see, given Elaine's, trajectory, she tends to do, or have, let me say, our better seasons tend to be in the Olympic years. All right. So for sure, we would love to see that. And I am definitely looking forward to seeing, Elaine Thompson and what will happen in terms of, she's the double, double double, and we want to see what will happen for the 100 and 200. But still, for me, Shericka will have that edge. I don't see who is going to come close to Shericka yet in this 200 right now. But we'll see what happens next season for sure. And let me see here. Let me go here. And Denver is saying, yes, if she wins in the heat. Okay, I get what you're saying. So she can get the record in the heat and then somebody else just win the 200. Okay, but then she'll have the record. Okay, I get what you're saying, Denver. And Adrian is saying, when Johan Blake ran 1926, the plan was not to go too hard in the first 100, finish the second 100 strong, which he did. I wonder if Coach and Shericka would try that strategy. Okay, I get what you're saying there. And Denver is saying, and in the final, somebody like Elaine can get the world record. Oh, Denver, I think I'm somewhat a bit confused here. But let me just go back to what you said initially here. Just checking your comment. She beats the record and she does not win the race. So you're saying if she wins in the heat, but if she gets the record in the heat and the final, some can get the record. So you're saying then in the final, somebody else could come back and run a better time, a faster time than what she ran in the heat. All right, guys, welcome, welcome. If you're just tuning in, we're pretty close to wrapping up this conversation. We still can take another, call or two. So would love to hear from you guys. Would love to hear from you. You can share in the chat too, but it's voices. Would love to hear your voice. All right. Definitely want to hear your voice. And then by saying you got it. Okay, awesome. Would definitely love to hear your voice. So don't be afraid to call in. So just call in. Remember to close the chat, guys, and hit the like button. Also, hit that subscription button if you're new to this space. So we're talking about, Stephen, and let me just go back to some of the comments just for persons who might just be tuning in. So here we have, one or the first two comments on screen here. And what Stephen is saying in this one, based on the history, we felt that the best opportunity would have been the meet in Eugene. I didn't believe that running the 100 meters would have affected her, that's Shericka, as much as it did. But that is part of life, so we just have to try again, whenever, all right? And let's go to the next one. It probably might be that we will have to seriously consider her not doubling up at these kinds of events if she's going to get a real shot at that record when she is in form. All right. So here is where, we're pretty much, talking about, because Stephen is saying, perhaps, we have to seriously consider this, if it is that we want to get this record, the doubling up may not be the best thing to do at these events. And again, these kinds of events, somewhat unclear, are you referring to the events, like Diamond League or, trials, Olympic Games? So again, we're here and, just analyzing Stephen's comments and, just trying to see, what that means. Adrian is in the chat, sorry, saying run for gold. If it's a world record, it's a brata. You're always an Olympic gold medalist, but you can be the former world record holder. Okay. Point taken there, Adrian. All right. So we're getting some really, good points there shared in the chat. And let's go to some more comments from Steven. And what Steve is saying here, I think once she is in form, she should be able to. So that's Shericka. Once Shericka is in form, Steve is saying, she can do it. But there has not been much help for her in terms of wind assistance and so on. So Steve is saying, yes, she has been in form, and she can do it. And if certain conditions such as the wind was more favorable, if they had like favorable wind, it would have perhaps been a reality by now. All right. And he continues, we probably might have to go to Mexico or Kenya or one of those places, and who knows. So that who knows is saying, yes, we might go to Mexico or Kenya and the record doesn't come. All right. But Stephen is saying it is a bit too early to say right now. All right. So just some perspective there. The next comment is in the context of, disappointment. And Stephen is saying nobody is ever perfect, but it was not disappointing for the most part. So I guess he's saying somewhat disappointing, but not disappointing for the most part. There are times when you felt that she made some mistakes, but overall it was okay. So there we go, with, Stephen there, sharing there. Colleen, welcome, 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 Colleen. Greetings to you too. And Colleen is saying maybe Frano is going to focus on Morrison running the 100 meters and Shericka the 200 meters. Colleen, I I love Steven as a coach. Like Steven has some great skill. Obviously, very talented and he's very good at what he does. But sometimes I question certain things in my mind, and sometimes I share with close persons and some things that I don't appreciate, and one for me, and I'm perhaps going to share this as best as I can. One for me is, athletes and certain information that you share, because I look at it, as a coach and an athlete, it should be a confidential, thing where there is trust and, certain relationship, and you would not have certain information if you were not in that position of trust, or in that position where, the athlete trust you, put their trust in you, and they're confident. And so sometimes I hear some things, and I'm like, no, this should not be said. This is like, client, coach, this is should be confidential. So I have that in terms of some question marks, and for sure. And so, but, and then I see some other stuff happening, like, as one gone, they would say another one born. And you wonder, but we'll see. And I see you, Colleen, and you said it, and perhaps that might be, we see that Natasha for sure, is improving, like definitely improving. So we'll see what happens, for sure. We'll continue to see, what happens. So guys, the line is open. Can definitely take, a call or two, another call or two, and, would love to hear from you. So, and please remember to close the chat and also hit the like button. All right, hit the subscription button if you have not yet subscribed to this channel. All right, so Rurian, I'm not sure if you're ready for us again, but for sure when you're ready, just come on in. So guys, welcome. Just,
Yeah,
okay, awesome. Go ahead.
yeah. It's just it's just good to see how these athletes can keep us interested and talking. And Steven is a guy like that. Like when he shares his words, you have to just weigh them and make sure that you listen to them keenly. It's not so clear what they're planning to do as it relates to going forward, but I guess whenever we see Shericka, just lining up for the 200 meters, it means that the possibility lies that he might be going after the record. As it relates to coach and athlete, as you are mentioning, they have to have certain lines being drawn and certain information that must be held confidentially, and they must have that tact and way about deal with the media and all. So I guess that's a part of professionalism as it relates to a coach, and they as coaches have to make sure that they abide by these guidelines. So, I'll not add anything to that or subtract from that. But people have to just know how to behave whenever they get out into the eyes of the media, especially.
Yeah, for sure. And you have the word there, professionalism. For sure. That's, what we want to see. And as I said, very, very, capable coach for sure, based on what we have seen over the years. And Colleen is saying here the goal was for Shericka to get the double gold, 100 and 200. I guess at in Budapest World Championships. It didn't work out. So Elaine will have a shot at the double health and strength to Elaine. All right, awesome. So Colleen, do you believe Elaine can win the 200 over a Shericka Jackson? So I would love to hear from you in that context, Elaine. Colleen. And Denver is saying, dear voices, let me ask you this quest. I guess let me ask you this. Is the National Stadium the only location in Jamaica where the stadium is certified by the sports world authorities? In what sense, Denver? For like track and field athletics? That's perhaps, if that's the question, I would think so. I'm not sure how that goes in terms of certification, but for sure that's the best facility that is there in Jamaica. And obviously might have complaints there in terms of maintenance, but the best facility. We heard that in Trelawney they're having parties at the multipurpose stadium. So I'm not too sure for track and field. It's the best facility. We don't, I know there was one in Montego Bay, but it wouldn't be to that where the Carifta Games were held one year. And so, but this is the best facility that we have in Jamaica. So that's where, we'll definitely have to have the national trials, that kind of event there, those kind of events. Jappy Sports Talk, welcome, 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 and big up to you too, Jappy. And guys, you can go over and support, Jappy's Sports Talk. All right. Colleen is saying nothing is impossible concerning Elaine if she is healthy. All right. And definitely want to see, I really want to see Elaine back, I really want to see Elaine back and, as you said, just being healthy in good form, where we know that she can be for sure. We want to see her back for sure. So guys, the number is on screen. Can take a call or two before we go. And so also please remember to close the chat and hit the like button. And remember to turn on your post notification, guys, right? You need to keep your post notification on, so that bell tap, just tap the bell and select all so that you do not miss any updates from this channel. So, all right, just checking in for final comments. Do you have any final comments you'd like to share in the chat? Or we can take, a call as well. Would love to hear if you have, any final comments. Ruren, do you have any final comments?
Yeah, I would just like to say thanks to the guys much for sharing. Some really good points made today, and thank you for this topic as well. Really interesting topic, and something that we will be, watching to see what Stephen and Shericka, how they'll deal with next year as it comes along. But it's always good to be in a setting where we have people who are passionate about track and field and who are willing to share their knowledge with it. But as I said, let's just keep our family together, keep our family strong, and let us keep on sharing so that we can, get the best information that is out there, and just keeping everyone in the loop at the same time, so that we can, analyze and think about things from different perspectives, and also respect other people's views at all times, so that we can maintain this safe space. So again, thank you guys for sharing. I've learned so much today again, and hope to hear from you next time around. Have a good one.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ryan, for sharing. And as always, before we, close out, I like to give like a little Teddish kind of talk. So let's see. And again, these are not some planned, talk in terms of conversation. I just speak from the heart. And what I'll say, similar to Shericka and Colleen, just mentioned Elaine there in the chat. Sometimes in life we have, good seasons and, bad seasons. And it does not mean that, it's going to be bad all the time. And so, we might be in fall now, right? And we might fall into winter, but soon, we're going to spring out of winter, and then perhaps we'll be shining, in summer. And so when, we think about that, nothing remains the same, all the time, things can change, and your perspective in how, you view things is definitely important. How you react to certain, conditions is definitely important. And so sometimes, we feel, and it is okay to feel. It is okay to sit, with your emotions and try to figure out, what is happening. Because guys, we're not machines. We cannot be oiled and just put back to work. We feel, we are human, right? We feel. And so sometimes, we have to sit and try to learn some lessons in terms of moving on. And, I am here to tell you that there is hope. All is not lost. There is hope. There is hope. You just have to believe it, and just know that, you're not alone in whatever it is that might be happening, whatever it is that might be, affecting you. So just to let you know that there is definitely hope. And again, the seasons, they change, all right? They change. So while you might be down, right? You are down already. The only place or the only movement is going to be up. So if you're down all the way to the bottom, it can only get better, you can only move up. And so just want to say to you, give yourself space and grace. Things happen, and things can change. And your reaction, will determine if and when you bounce back. All right, so that is definitely important. How are you looking at the context? How are you looking at the glass? Is it half empty or half full? And so, again, your perspective, your reaction definitely is important in the context of moving forward. And so, I want to say to you to take care of yourselves. It's just one you, be you, do whatever works for you in the context of, taking care of yourself, exercising, self-care. And for some of us, self-care might be spiritual self-care, just going to church, fellowshipping, praying, social self-care, connecting with friends, physical self-care, going to the gym. And, even with self-care, we need a balance. We need a balance. We need the physical, the spiritual, the social, the psychological or emotional. And so balance in everything is important. And as we, previously we looked at self-care in terms of, the ABCs, balance is not always that perfect balance. And so it might just be an imperfect balance, but a little bit of something, is okay. You might be, for example, doing more physical, where you're going to the gym, and, less social, but nonetheless, you have a little social in there. And so again, balance for you might be different for someone else, and that's totally okay. Run your course, it's a journey. Stay in your lane and do not watch the gap or the distance. Your time will come. So just run your course, and just remember, in everything that you do, you know, be kind to yourself. Be kind to yourself. All right. So blessings and love, everyone. And I'll definitely see you in the next live. Okay, Denver, I'm seeing your question there, and I'm going to check on that for you and just post that in the chat. All right. So guys, thanks again for tuning in. Thank you so much for being a part of this, interesting conversation. Thanks for commenting, for calling, for liking, for sharing, for subscribing, and for, most importantly, for maintaining our safe space where we can continue to share and learn from each other, and also where you feel comfortable, where you feel a sense of belonging and you feel valued. So I'll see you in the next live. Blessings and love, everyone. So I'll just continue to the end of my slide, and Denver, I'll try and get the answer for you. All right. So guys, thanks again and take care. to like, share, and subscribe to this channel so that you can listen to the different voices in education. Stay tuned.